It is a day earmarked to appreciate India's incredible diverse tourism resources and to spread awareness about the importance of tourism and its impact on the economy. As a part of the National Tourism Day celebration, seminars, cultural events, and other programs are organized all over the country at various levels. The Central Ministry of Tourism, state tourism departments and corporation, travel and tourism association and clubs, tourism schools and faculty at various educational institutions, etc. It is on this line that we have organized today's webinar on the theme Rural and Community Centric Tourism. We have with us our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Nageswar Rao, under whose patronage we are organizing this webinar. We also have two eminent and distinguished scholars from the tourism fraternity to take the discussion forward. Without further ado, I would like to request the director of the school, Professor Paramita Shuklavedya, to give the welcome address.
Thank you, Dr. Aquism. Good afternoon to all present. I'll just switch off the camera because I'm having trouble with the network. Due to the network issues, either the camera or the microphone can work. So, good afternoon to all present. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome all of you to this webinar for celebrating the National Tourism Day. As Dr. Aquism was saying, National Tourism Day is celebrated on 25th of January as designated by the Government of India and Ministry of Tourism. This is the day to promote tourism and discuss the impact of tourism on our economy, as well as to inform all how tourism is important for us, how tourism plays an important role. Despite COVID setbacks, tourism is coming back with a vengeance. And keeping in mind what our own Honorable Prime Minister have said, we should all visit different parts of the country and promote tourism and learn about each other's culture. Tourism is not just about traveling, it is also about imbibing the culture of other parts of our country and abroad. So today we have two eminent speakers with us. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome Professor Manjula Chaudhary, former Director of IITTM, a Ministry of Tourism organization, and at present Dean Academic Affairs and Professor in the Department of Tourism and Hotel Management, Kurukshetra University. Madam is well known among both the academia and industry, as she happens to be a member of many tourism and hospitality bodies, as well as a consultant for the travel industry. She is also among the first to work in the area of rural tourism, the theme of this year's National Tourism Day, and was honored by the tourism industry for her contribution to travel and tourism education through leadership meet in INR. Madam, we look forward to hearing your thoughts. Our second eminent speaker is Professor Parikshat Singh Manhas, at present the Director of School of Tourism and Hospitality Management, Jammu University, and he also happens to be the rector of the Udhampur campus of Jammu University. Professor Manhas is a well-respected resource person both in India and abroad. While his publications and citation numbers speak for his academic credentials, his presence these days as an expert in the television have made him well known among the common men, especially of J&K. I welcome you to the webinar, Professor Manhas. I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Nageswar Rao. Sir, I thank you for consenting to be a part of the webinar despite the short notice. And sir, this support of yours and unflagging trust in us and our school is what motivates and pushes us to do better and try to excel. I would also like to welcome Professor Satyakam, the PVC of IGNOU. Also, Professor Mahapatra, Shrikant Mahapatra, sir. I am not able to see other PVC, but I welcome all the PVCs who are present here in this webinar. I also welcome all the directors of schools and divisions, faculty of various schools who have joined us. And I would definitely like to thank all the members of RCs across the country. They are the one who are here to promote tourism courses and the tourism thoughts across the country and celebration of this National Tourism Day. A special mention to all our PhD scholars, our alumni who have passed out of the school, but still today they are joining us for this National Tourism Day celebration. I welcome all of you, and Dr. Akozam, kindly continue with the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Our first speaker is a superwoman. Professor Manjula Chaudhary, currently the Dean Academics Affair in the University of Kurukshetra and also Professor, Department of Tourism and Hotel Management. She is also the Director, HRDC, Nodal Officer, Rashtriya Uttachar Shiksha Abhiyan, Coordinator NAG and Coordinator NEP 2020. She has contributed in various role and capacity, ex-director, Indian Institute of Tourism and Travel Management, IITTM, ex-member National Tourism Advisory Committee, member Board of Governors National Tourism and Hospitality Council, National Institute of Tourism and Hospitality Management, etc. Ma'am is also a visiting professor at IIM, domain expert tourism at the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, member Board of Studies and Academic Council of different universities of the country and visitor nominee in central universities. Publications in national and international journals, 18 research projects and evaluation studies on tourism for Government of India and different state governments. An author per excellence in the area of management and marketing, Professor Chaudhary, with her interests in reading, writing, and traveling, a lethal combination for a tourism professional, have all inspired us with her strong work ethics. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Manjula Chaudhary.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Paromita, for setting the right tune for today's event. In fact, the theme you have chosen is very, very interesting and exciting. And what I am trying to talk today to the audience who are present here is not only from the perspective of tourism academician, but from a broader perspective. Like currently, I'm also looking after Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, and we have also adopted a couple of villages around our universities where a number of social works are going on, so that broadens my perspective of rural development, where tourism happens to be just one component only. So the theme you have chosen, like rural and community centric tourism, this is something which requires a lot of thought, debate, and discussions. And despite the fact that we have such a big fraternity of tourism academicians in the country, the theme has not been properly researched, and there are a number of areas where further research and discussions are needed. So one thing that is often talked about rural tourism is that it's not becoming mainstream, because the whole purpose of rural tourism is that we shall spread the benefits of tourism to the larger society and maybe in the rural areas. But the question is, do we want it to become mainstream? We are already looking at the impacts of tourism in the socially and ecologically sensitive areas. We are seeing like what is happening in Joshimath or in some other areas. Similarly, socially sensitive areas like Leh are having its own problems when tourism goes to the villages. So first thing is that we have to understand like to what extent we want rural tourism to be promoted in different parts of the country or in different villages. Second thing is we cannot look at rural tourism in isolation. It has to be integrated with the rural development models. What is happening, the central government and state government, the tourism department, they are formulating their own policies and they are giving funding for the promotion of rural tourism. And they are oblivious to the fact that there are many government departments which are also working in the same villages and giving funding and under different schemes. So it needs to be integrated with the rural development models. Like for example, it needs to be integrated with agriculture, then in fishery, then in organic farming, and in the dairying, because each village can provide a different flavor. It's not like a heritage sites where like different heritage sites are being promoted in the same manner. Everything has to be different. Take for example, I am aware of the villages where some villager came up with the fishery and he developed a fishery to such an extent that the person is an international businessman now. And large number of villagers and people come to his farm for the purpose of getting the training in fishery. So that's also a tourism without even intervention of the government to promote the tourism. Same is happening in a number of villages in Haryana, where the strawberry farming, IGNOU farming, like sugar-free strawberry farming, it has taken off in a very big way. And people are flocking to these villages, and there is a tourism flourishing without anybody knowing that tourism is happening in these places. And similarly, like in the Sule vineyard, something which was promoted for the purpose of production of wine, is again a very big center of rural tourism. So that's why the second important point is that integration of tourism with the different rural development models is very, very important. Otherwise, people don't know what is happening in a particular village. And the third thing is, like, how do we go about it? Like, how we would know what is to be promoted in one village, what is to be promoted in another village. So for all the tourism academicians and practitioners, one thing which is very important is that they must understand and they must study the various innovative models and see the possibility of replication. If replication is not possible, maybe improvisation is possible in one form or another, it can be applied. So there are some of the very interesting case studies where government had no intervention at all. And I personally believe that these are the best case studies of rural tourism. For example, goat villages in the Uttaranchal, high reaches of Uttaranchal. So these are the villages which only subsist on the goat economy, because nothing happens here. No agriculture. The climate is so harsh at heights. Other cattle also cannot like flourish there. So they survive on goat. And now, if they are only surviving in goats, how to promote these villages? An NGO has come up with a very wonderful idea. So they have created very basic structure in these villages where people go, they stay, and then this is some income is happening to these villages also. Then they came with very important idea how to improve this the breed, like genetic makeup of these goats, because otherwise the migration of the goats is not that much. So they have came up with the idea of Bakri Swambar. And this is something which is a very good concept, is happening all around in Uttarakhand now. So they, on a particular day or for a particular week, they organize a festival which is called Bakri Swambar. People go with their goats to these villages where this interbreeding takes place. So the genetic makeup of the goat also increases, and for 1 week the whole village is in the mood of festivity. So there are shops, and then there is some songs and dance going on. And not only this, in the whole when this festival is being organized, people from the nearby villages, they came with their crafts in that particular village, and the sale happens. So a simple idea of Bakri Swambar has created a multiplier effect in the nearby areas, and maybe it is spreading further. So these are the ideas which are required, and no government intervention has happened at any point in these types of schemes. So these are the things which have to be studied by us as an academicians, about which many of us may not be aware. Similarly, we can look at the example of Sikkim, where homestays are very, very popular. And of course, it was a UNDP program. So that's why it was executed much more systematically. But then we also have to look at the things like how these homestays can be promoted, because there are some negative consequences also. Then you have Haryana, where farm tourism is very common. Homestays are there, but not so authentic. But it is still dubbed as rural tourism. So there are marriages going on, there are parties going on, and a rural ambience is created, something like Chokhi Dhani type. Similarly, we have models in Gujarat and Rajasthan where heritage villages are being promoted for rural tourism. We have Odisha, where something like Raghurajpur, a village is created for the purpose of this Pattachitra paintings. And then there is Maharashtra, where this rural tourism is being promoted. But these are some of the successful case examples. But then we have also to study not so successful case studies. What has happened in those villages where money has been funded, schemes have been created, and still tourists are not coming. So these have to be studied so that we can know what is leading to failure and what is leading to success. So this is another area which needs to be addressed. So the problems I look at it is that usually we conceive rural tourism as an independent or separate project. And whatever models of rural tourism are created, they are created on papers by the outsiders. They are not part of the village. They don't know the village, they don't understand the village, and no consultative mechanism is followed before adopting a site or before promoting a site for the rural tourism. So what happens? Somebody prepares a template that this is the template for rural tourism village, whether the village is in an Andaman or village is in Kutch or village is in Himachal or Haryana, irrespective of the fact, same model is implemented to every village. And this is the reason we are seeing that rural tourism is still not flourishing as far as our country is concerned. Another important thing is that each village is a very, very unique point of social interface. And the social systems, We are not even studying the social response theories, how a particular village is going to respond when the tourists are coming to that particular area. Everybody will not respond in the same manner. So we have some of the very remote areas in Odisha which are being promoted for the purpose of rural tourism. In fact, they are, I will not say them remote. They are remote geographically, but they are very much advanced because they are still cultivating the crops in the traditional fashion. So there is a lot that can be shown, like how traditionally crops were sown in that particular area. And then we are saying that tourists are not going to those areas. These are tribal areas. So a unique model has to be created in that area also. Now, coming to another point, I am NEP coordinator also, where community engagement is a very, very important component of the studies that has to be compulsorily included in the curriculum. Now, this is an opportunity for all the tourism professionals because community engagement can be very, very effective in the area of rural tourism. So, tourism students have been away from community engagement till date. It is providing us an opportunity to create a model for rural tourism, maybe in the villages which are near our universities, where students can go and they can engage themselves into creating awareness or building the models. The important thing is now we have a very large number of students all over the country, tourism students who can be included into the rural tourism in the name of community engagement. And maybe, as always, the students are very, very creative. So there is every possibility that they will come up with unique models. But again, there is word of caution, which I always say in case of tourism. The caution is that we don't have to create an outside narrative of the village. Local narrative or the narrative of village is very, very critical, because the moment you create the outside narrative, whole authenticity is lost. So there has to be inner authentic narrative. But the question is, who is going to document this inner authentic narrative? If suppose I do it or Paromita do it, we will have a lens of Kurukshetra and she will have a lens of IGNOU, and we will look at the village from this lens only. So this is the lens that has to be destroyed, and we have to talk to the people who are there in the village and build their narrative, and then accept that narrative rather than imposing our narrative that every village must have a road which is say 20 feet wide. It might not be possible and it might not be desirable. So these are the certain things I wanted to share with you, and I have raked up a few issues. I'm sure the people who are listening, they are all tourism researchers. They will pick up some important points for further research and maybe for extension activities in their respective universities. And my best wishes are to the all everyone in the IGNOU who have decided to take up this particular topic, particularly Vice Chancellor, Paromita, and the whole team. And thank you very much for taking me on board. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Professor Manjula Chaudhary, for your insightful words. The integration of rural tourism with the overall tourism development models and strategy is one thing that, yes, the government and we as tourism professionals can look into. Need for studying successful cases as well as the unsuccessful cases, one to replicate or to innovate on that, and the unsuccessful cases to know the causes and to rectify. These are wonderful thoughts which we will also try to incorporate when we are studying, when we are developing courses on rural tourism. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Our second speaker today is a multitasker in the true sense of the word, having either been the head or have been a part of various initiatives, whether it is the University of Jammu Special Purpose Vehicle Foundation, University Business Incubation and Innovation Center, National Innovation and Startup Policy, University of Jammu Institution Innovation Council, organizing committee of UNWTO affiliate members working group on tourism and culture synergies, Asia and Eastern Europe for CED World Center of Excellence for Destination, Commerce Management Association of India or Tourism Advisory Board of Jammu and Kashmir. He is also a visiting professor and member of Board of Studies at various renowned tourism and hospitality institutions, both in India as well as abroad, and he is on the editorial board of several journals. He has authored 10 books and has more than 100 research papers in his name. And this, I must definitely point out, he is an alumni of the Master of Tourism Management program of IGNOU. So we are taking credit for this here. It is my pleasure to invite Professor Parikshit Singh Manhas, presently multitasking again as Professor, Faculty of Business Studies, and as Rector, Udhampur campus, and also the Director, School of Hospitality and Tourism Management, University of Jammu. Professor Manhas, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Koizam. Namaskar. That was a great introduction. I really feel
Namaskar,
elated and I'm very happy after getting this introduction, and it inspires me a lot. Thank you for making me look larger than life. Uh, Thank you, Dr. Parimita. Thank you, Arvind, for inviting me. Greetings to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir. Thank you, Vice Chancellor, sir, for giving me an opportunity to always be part of your programs. I'm really grateful to the Honorable Vice Chancellor. Thank you, Manjula ma'am, for setting up such a good tone for vis-a-vis this presentation and this today's event is concerned. And indeed, I take pride in the fact that I am an alumnus of Indira Gandhi National Open University, and I very proudly write it in my resume also. So, and hats off to the Honorable Vice Chancellor. He has given me space vis-a-vis that thing is concerned, and he's included me in various committees as far as my alumnus status is concerned. So coming back to the topic, obviously rural and community-centric tourism, a very, very important aspect, especially in the post-COVID era, and how we think of building up our tourism, how we think of building up our local economy. It's an important aspect. See, what has happened is that during COVID era also, I had many lectures, and I always used to talk about one very important aspect, and that aspect was vis-a-vis how do we revive tourism. And I was very bullish about the fact that tourism is going to be one of those which is going to be the fastest to recovery. But yes, the fact that is going to push tourism towards recovery is going to be the domestic aspect of the tourism. And within domestic aspect, rural tourism, I always felt very bullish about. And I felt that it has high potential to stimulate local economic growth and social change. Now, I'm using two very important keywords over here: economic growth and social change. Why? Because economic aspect is one very important thing which turns up our economy, which helps people's pocket. But bringing about a social change, that's an important aspect, because most of the population or most of the young generations are not aware of what amount of potential rural tourism possesses. And the other aspect is our social change and economic growth go hand in hand. In other ways, I can say they are complementary to each other. And these economic activities lead to contribution to our GDP, job creation, and have the capacity to promote the dispersal of demand in time. That is, seasonality is a very important aspect vis-a-vis tourism is concerned. And this is very importantly needs to be looked at, because rural tourism is one of those which is in a way an all-weather or all-season tourism. And it gives a wider territory or wider spectrum or a wider paradigm to our tourists. So that's a very important aspect. What's the basic scope of this particular thing? I've divided my presentation into a couple of things, and in the what I'm going to talk about, how I'm going to present today, and in the end I'm going to talk about recommendations also. But what's the basic scope vis-a-vis rural tourism is concerned? One, diversification of economy. Now, this is an important aspect because it, in a way, helps visitors' experience to be diversified on various parameters, be it nature, be it agriculture, be it rural lifestyle, rural culture, fishing, sightseeing, rural economies, all these things. These are different aspects, and this is a very important aspect vis-a-vis diversification is concerned. So you in a way, when we talk about rural tourism, we are thinking of building it up in a way that we promote our agriculture, but we also promote our rural culture, rural lifestyle. Honorable Prime Minister has been over and over again talking about it. Leading economists have been talking about it. Leading agriculturalists, leading doctors have been talking about it. That the type of natural immunity building our rural culture was from the Vedic times. If those things are brought about, the number of diseases is going to decrease down in a big way. Our economy is going to grow in a big manner. So this is one of the scopes, diversification of economy. Another I feel is the rural prosperity aspect. Now, what happens is we would want our population to stay, the rural population to stay put in rural areas only, because they are the ones who feed our country. So we don't want them to move out. So rural and community-centric tourism, in a way, safeguards our villages. It safeguards their landscape, their knowledge system, their biological, cultural variety, local values, all these things, their agriculture, forestry, cattle, fisheries, everything is taken care of, because of which the point is our rural regions are safeguarded, or our villages are safeguarded in a big way. If you look at it in a different perspective, there's another scope vis-a-vis sustainable development goals are concerned. Now, in our SDGs also, we again and again talk about rural and community-based tourism, specifically goals 8 and 12. These aid which concern the inclusive and sustainable economy, growth, sustainable consumption and production, SCP. So all these things are part of it. That's a very important aspect. And the last scope that I would like to talk about is the reverse migration. I or any economist or any builder or any expert would not want our towns or cities to be flooded with people. And flooded with people, majority of them who are unemployed, who don't have good source of income. That's a very, very tricky aspect. And that literally harms every economy. That harms every economy in a very big way. So I wouldn't want that. Everybody is looking at the fact that more people should go to rural areas, back to rural. So that is an important aspect. So if now I come to the aspect where I'm going to talk about the inclusive community development through tourism. Now, this is an important aspect. Inclusive community development through tourism happens because why? Because this is dynamic, this is resilient, and a fastest growing economy. This is, again, I'll say it's resilient. Resilience is the key word over here. What has happened is we in 2019 December or November, one of the words that was overly used was very much used was over tourism. And in 2021, late 2020, in mid of 2021, we had a very, very important word that was being used, which was called as revenge tourism. So because we are very resilient, we are resilient to the fact that if anything harms us, we have to come up and try to build it up. And that's why this is one of those fastest growing aspects. This brings value, job creation, development, driver for inclusion and local growth, and key for post-COVID-19 recovery. So this inclusive community development through tourism happens, will be one of the major things. And this is something our stakeholders, various stakeholders, our academicians, our industrialists should try to focus upon and try to build up. If they have to focus on this, our stakeholders have to focus on this, give them a couple of pillars for action. My thought is that there are around about 4 pillars of action which should be there, and I'll talk about those 4 pillars of action. My pillar 1 is empowerment or empower. Community participation empowers people, empowers people within that region. It enhances their education and skill sets. And women empowerment and leadership. Here I'll also include the marginalized communities, youngsters, 13, 14 teenagers, they all need to be supported. And if we have inclusive rural inclusivity or tourism, obviously everybody be empowered based upon that. This is one of the pillars of action which I feel is very important, and through this empowerment is going to happen. The pillar 2 is the safeguard aspect. Now, important aspect which is being talked about, built up, thought about is climate change. We all know about it. Everybody is talking big about climate change, that our water levels are rising somewhere, where snow is increasing in some regions, somewhere there is the temperatures have increased by a couple of degrees, somewhere where the other day I was looking at a documentary which was showing that a hot water lake has frozen now in Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan. I'm not sure about that, or Kyrgyzstan, one of these places. But one of the hot water lakes has frozen now over there. And they were showing this on Beyond, and I was surprised. You have so many species which are being wiped out. So if we go back to village, if we try to provide them a lot of economic support, obviously this safeguard vis-a-vis climate change. Our response towards climate change is going to be in a big way. Safeguarding as far as India is concerned, safeguarding our heritage, measuring, monitoring the crisis preparedness vis-a-vis our heritage degradation is concerned. The way that our heritage is being degraded or is being exploited. If people in those regions derive some economic benefits out of it, it is going to be a very important aspect. The third is going to be the pillar of prosperity. One of the one is innovation and entrepreneurship. And if we have to, or if we find out newer ways of innovation and entrepreneurship vis-a-vis tourism industry is concerned, building up tourism infrastructure, co-creation of sustainable products, including all these things in master planning, obviously the prosperity is going to grow. As we all are aware of the fact that ours is the industry where maximum for every 10 lakh rupees invested, maximum number of people get job in at least 70 to 74 or 75, which is far more, this number is more than even the manufacturing industry. So the fact is that this is one of those pillars of prosperity. And the last one which I talk about is the collaboration. I'm a very big fan of the fact where and in every activity that I do, I always feel collaboration is the key to growth. Whether it is your academia, whether it is my sports, whether it is my connections, academic writings are concerned, research writings, or my work is concerned, I'm a very big fan of collaboration. In isolation, you can never grow. You can never build up. And what I feel is that if government includes everybody vis-a-vis inclusivity, as I was talking about, includes everybody, obviously this aspect of growth is also going to be taken care of and it will not be neglected. There are some certain issues. Obviously, if I talk about the benefits also, there are certain issues vis-a-vis rural tourism and community involvement is concerned. Well, mostly vis-a-vis our part of the world is concerned, rural communities are not that amount of literate to help handle our customers or tourists. So their literacy rate is not that high. Their ignorance is at highest level. So that has to be taken care of. We have to build up. We have to build up in such a manner that we try to provide them newer skill sets, but we also enhance their educational level and their literacy levels in a way that they grow in a very positive manner. Socio-economic situation of the rural population. Now again, socio-economic position is very tricky. I'll not say it is down, but it is very tricky. Now, as far as economic positions are concerned, they may not have enough funds on hand. Government has rolled out many schemes where they are trying to take care of the fact that these homestay concept and all these concepts are building up in rural areas where they can provide money and all that. But still people are not that sound enough to get that money on hand, be able to get that money or build it up or use that money in a judicious manner so they get the sufficient amount of returns. Socially also, here what I mean to say is that tourist also needs to be in a way taught or told how to behave, because we are a very, very big and a culturally diverse country. And in our customs, in our cultures, there are a lot of negative sentiments which need to be taken care of. So this situation, this thing is a very important aspect which needs to be built up, which needs to be taught to these stakeholders in rural areas. Negative social impact of tourism development and leakages. How to plug those leakages, because if everything comes from urban areas and goes back to urban areas, then there is no money actually staying in rural areas. And this was something which happened in Ladakh region also, where a lot of people were visiting Ladakh region, but the locals were not actually benefiting out of it. That was a very important aspect. So that also needs to be taken care of, and that also needs to be built up. I have a couple of minutes still with me. So excuse me. So I'm going to give a couple of recommendations now, which I feel which are open to discussion, obviously, but which are my own thoughts, which I've thought about. As I said, I'm a very big fan of collaboration. So I always feel there has to be an integrated approach. What I feel is the DMOs in various states, as well as within our various regions, work in isolation. An integrated approach for inclusive community development has to be there. Sometimes what happens is the stakeholders or the leaders of the DMOs or the people at the helm of things, yes, they build up certain policies without taking people at the grassroots level into confidence, because of which the implementation of these things takes time. The implementation of these policies does not happen in a proper, effective, and an efficient manner, which is a very big loss that we have. The times have changed. Public-private community partnerships is an important aspect. The PPP modes that we keep talking about. We advocate this particular aspect, but again, we are not actually practicing them at the grassroots level. We only practice them at a level where we feel that it is a win-win situation for us, but not where we are trying to empower the social community, the local rural communities. So tourism value chain development in such a manner that they empower local communities. We always talk about resources within management is concerned, that is men, money, machinery, material, methods. But again, men is the first word, or the human capital development through targeted policies. That is what I feel is an important aspect and is the need of the day. We again policies in our country. There are abundant number of policies in our country. There are abundant number of thoughts that are going on, but they all keep going on in isolation. They don't actually carry what the message to the grassroots level. And there are such good policies, but sometimes people are not aware of, and people are not actually able to use them. So human capital development through targeted policies, so that these rural population is built up in a positive manner, helping them access funds from the mainstream. We all are looking at Shark Tank these days. So a lot of people come forward and they try to get money, but they are all educated and people belonging to urban areas. We want rural population to have access to this such type of I'll say programs or value chains, and have access to the funds. And above all is access to the funds to all genders. That's an important aspect, because if we don't empower rural women, obviously growth is not going to be there. And this can only happen through consultative processes with the communities, with the local communities. And this consultative process will only move if we give them equitable presence vis-a-vis various sustainable business practices are concerned. And equitable presence of theirs has to be there vis-a-vis this has to be concerned. So these were a couple of recommendations that I have. And I would like to conclude that building it up is an important aspect. Thinking about it is always going on. Thought processes are being built up, but building in a proper, effective, efficient manner is an important aspect which actually is not happening. People are not doing it. By people, I mean to say the stakeholders at the helm of affairs, who are policy makers, are still not doing in a right manner. And we as academia, we as participants of academia are bound by the fact that we have to push them to build it up in a more effective manner, more efficient manner. I think my time is up. I overshot by a couple of minutes, but these were some of my thoughts, and I hope I have been able to make some sense amongst the August gathering over here. And I'm always open for more questions or more thoughts in times to come. Thank you. Thank you once again to the Indira Gandhi National Open University, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Parumita, Akoism, and Dr. Arvind. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Professor Manas. Yeah, you really made a lot of sense. And it was a very insightful lecture. There were lots of points that you have raised, which are worth debating and can go for discussion. Lots of research scholars are here, so I think they will take it up also. The diversification of products, reverse migration, which is the need of the hour. And talking of reverse migration, many of our student learners who are enrolled in the Masters of Tourism and Travel Management program, many of the security personnel are enrolled, brigadiers, even lieutenant generals and colonels, who have enrolled in this program with the thought process that once they are retired, they will go back to their community, their roots, and then develop some form of rural tourism initiatives. So this is happening at the moment. And you have talked about the four pillars, which is very worth uh, appreciation. Empowerment, safeguard. Then you talked about innovation and entrepreneurship. That's why I feel entrepreneurship has is now one of the courses in almost every tourism this one master's level program also, and the UGC has also stressed more upon research methodology as part of this. So all this integrated approach will really help not only the tourism academics or the tourism programs to flourish, but it can be for so that it can percolate down to the rural area level. Recently, we had done research work on national on the state tourism policy of Himachal Pradesh, and to our surprise, the stakeholders in the rural community, they have absolutely no idea that a tourism policy exists. So somewhere something is missing. You said ki lots of things are happening in isolation. The policies are there, but an integrated approach is not there, which needs to be looked into. Thank you so much, sir, for very insightful. You and Professor Manjula Chaudhary has given us wonderful thoughts, food for thoughts, which we can dwell upon. Well, the status of a university in the broader collective discourse, it is a reflection of the vision and the leadership of the Vice Chancellor. Today, IGNOU have achieved greater heights because our Honorable Vice Chancellor have led from the front. So it is with great pleasure and pride I take this opportunity to request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Nageshwar Rao, for the presidential address. Sir.
Good evening to all of you.
Good evening, sir.
Happy National Tourism Day to the school as well as to my young learners. I am happy to see today Manjula ji. She is a close friend of mine. And also Manhas ji, who is a student for me. A lot of love and respect I received from him also. And today both of them, they have given a lot of insights to all of us. Especially when I was listening to Manjula ji, she is having the same enthusiasm and the presentation of the newer ideas before all of us. And the school might have benefited by her benign presence, because you know that she has devoted her whole life in the field of tourism. Earlier in the Kurukshetra and later on as Director of Indian Travel and Tourism Management at Gwalior. And the way she led the institutes, that has given us a lot of glory, a lot of new ideas to many of us. When Parikshit ji was talking, I was listening to the issues which he flared up with respect to the rural tourism. And the ideas which he have given to us, especially for our learners, especially for our students, they can look into these 3 points, 3 key points which he talked about the rationale, in terms of rationale, that is diversification, then reverse migration, and rural prosperity. All the 3 key points, they are quite relevant to all of us. when our country is moving ahead in terms of GDP or in terms of the growth path. We have to go to the rural areas and find out what they are having with them so that the people can go there and reach to those places where the tourist spots are there. When Manjula ji was speaking, I was just remembering my old days. When I was in Ujjain, and I used to get almost regular darshan of Lord Mahakal without having any problem. But a few days back, when I tried to have it, even after paying 1500 rupees also, I could not get that darshan. And the people who are there, since most of them, they are known to me, they said that now we don't require any jobs because Lord Mahakal has given the jobs for the next 30 years, next 40 years. Lot of rush. At least 2 kilometers from the main temple. Very difficult to move also with any vehicle. I'm just talking about the present scenario of many of the temples all over the country. There is a temple, there are 3 or 4 temples in Maharashtra. One is in Devghar also. Devghar is a small place. Very small place. Now that has also become self-sustainable. So I'm not talking about only the religious tourism. I'm just trying to push this fact that we have got so many places. So many places. Now the people want to move. Sharing of cultures, sharing of ideas. And once they want to come out from their routine activities, they would like to visit to a place. Not to cities only. Maybe 30, 40 years back, people used to visit Agra to see the Taj. Or maybe to Ajmer to have the Dargah darshan. Konark. But now you see lots of places are there. And when we are looking into the recent initiatives with respect to the talks of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we are trying to identify the local heritage, the local persona who glorified the nation, who fought for the country. Still the people would like to visit those places also. And newer sites, they are also being identified in those areas. Manhas ji is from Jammu. You can imagine the position of the Vaishnavi Devi temple 5 years back, 10 years back, and the present scenario. Even in Kurukshetra also, there is a Sarovar. Earlier the people were not knowing and only a few people they used to go over there. Now the people they go to visit that Sarovar also. So not big places, not these semi-urban areas. Ujjain is also a semi-urban area. Still it has been defined as semi-urban area. We can now enter into the rural areas also. And everywhere you find that something specific is there in terms of Indian heritage. There is an NGO working in that area for the last 30 years. They talked about Bharatiya Dharohar. So many spots are there in our country. So many places they have identified. I have already made a request to Kaushalya ji. She is the Director School of Humanities, to request the people who are working in that area to address us, so that we can also identify those areas and see that how we can enrich that rural tourism, rural spots, rural culture, rural heritages. We have about 5 lakh villages. And the issue of reverse migration is very, very important, which Minhasji has rightly pointed out. We can go into it and we can get good results also. Because our culture, our heritage, our glorious past, everything can give us something new to many of us. And you see that every state is working on it, because lots of revenue they get on account of that. Promoting tourism. You see the number of flights, number of trains. Are we getting any accommodation in that? Numbers are continuously increasing. People are moving from one place to another. And most of these visits, they are related to tourism. Whole family moves. So what we see is that lot of potential is there. And with the insights from Manjula ji or Manhas ji, they are only the indicative references which we are listening to on a day which is quite important to all the students of tourism. That future is in their hands. And they can bring prosperity, rural prosperity. They can help in reverse migration. They can create a better fabric of our country. GDP will grow, and at the same time, our heritage, our culture, our science, the places where these cultures, they are depicting us, they are showing us a different path. The monuments which are available with us, and they give us special incentive and motivation to visit those places. They all can help us. Maybe the 10 years back, MBA was a program, people were rushing for that. And with the ideas which you are getting today, tomorrow, you'll find that MTA, BTA, even the hotel and tourism management, they all will carry more weight and more employable opportunities you will get it in those areas. We know that we are getting good numbers, but we have to give them right direction so that they can give us right inputs. And accordingly, our courses, they need to be reviewed. Today is only a day on which we are just getting a few insights. But on that, the school can work upon and try to enrich themselves and see that how that area can further be strengthened, further be developed. our learners can also identify the areas, the gaps, which our learned speakers, they have tried to emphasize today on this historic day. Thank you very much. Once again, I convey my sincere regards and respects to Manjula ji and Minhas ji, and also compliment Parmita ji and Akoism for having this wonderful program on the eve of Indian Tourism Day. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words. Yes, as school, we will definitely look into exploring options of offering courses on rural tourism and other related areas. And it has been, with your constant support, we have been working towards it. This has been a very wonderful webinar session that we have both from both the speakers, Professor Manjula Chaudhary, Professor Parikshit Manhas, and our esteemed Vice Chancellor, who has all given us more thoughts, more food for thoughts for us to work on. Thank you to both Madam and to both the sirs for giving us this opportunity and to be on this platform and discuss relevant issues which are tagging us all along. And as a school, as tourism professional, we will definitely try to step in and see that the learners also get the required course structure and material that is needed to go in that direction. So now we have come to the end of this webinar, and I would like to request my colleague, Dr. Jatasankar Tewari, to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Akaizam, for giving me an opportunity to offer vote of thanks on the occasion of celebrating India's Tourism Day today. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude and thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, whose constant support and help and motivation keep us in a position to celebrate such a celebration and we are very much delighted to have sir on board, and it is a matter of great pleasure that we are having renowned academicians who have not only they are from the field of tourism, but they have contributed a lot in the field of rural tourism. Especially I would like to thank Professor Manjula ji, ma'am, that you have given us time from your busy schedule, because in your own institutions, you people have definitely celebrating this day. And I would like to thank also Professor Parikshit Singh Manhas ji, that he has consented and given wonderful insight that we were not aware several things. And a major thing that he has pointed out, like reverse migration, it is really a bigger problem in a hill estate, as I was in there, Uttarakhand. So this was a major problem, and he has pointed out that by this focusing on rural tourism, we may go for the reverse migration. We can contribute. And I would like to thank our Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Satyakam ji and Professor Srikant Mohapatra ji, for being with us. They have spared their valuable time and they have come to join this webinar. And I would like to thank director of my school, Professor Paramita Suklavedya ji, constantly motivating us for this webinar, and several other plans that she is having. I would like to thank the people who were there in the organizing team, organizing secretary, Dr. Sonia Sharma and Dr. Arvind ji. These people have constantly worked hard so that this program, this webinar was a reality. And I would like to thank our research scholars and the other people, other directors who have spared their time for being with us in this webinar. And I would like to thank our EMPC staff who has constantly supported us, though we are the one who has approached them always at the 11th hour, but they have supported us in this regard. I would like to thank all the faculty members and staff of my school. And though it will be very difficult to have a extensive list of the people and name them, but I would like to thank all the one who have been with us either directly or indirectly supported to make this webinar a reality. With this, I will thank to the natural forces, and the technology that have constantly supported us that our webinar was a success. Once again, I thank to all the people who have participated in this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for your contribution. Thank you so very much for sparing the time. With the Honorable Vice Chancellor's permission, I would like to close this session today of our webinar on the occasion of 24th
मैडम ठीक है आप
National Tourism Day.
नमस्कार डॉक्टर।
ठीक है आप ठीक है
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, आप ठीक हैं?
जी जी बिल्कुल ठीक
जी नमस्कार।
नमस्कार।